what's up? It's your favorite lawyer. Okay, so today, guys, I am so stressed. I am like going back and forth because I have been attorneys when we fight cases and we have to file pleadings, etc. There are times when the other person has not even been yet served and we are battling back and forth and having to file things and set them for hearings, etc. Or even after people have been served and we're filing back, we're going back and forth trying to set things for hearings, etc., and have to deal with each and every court's specific rules and how they want stuff done and how this judge wants the order to look and what motion this judge wants to accept on a motion to dismiss docket and blah 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 blah. So it is a minefield in the legal arena with respect to filings, what you should file, when you should file, how you should file, how to set cases for court to get actual court dates in cases, what an order is. I said all of these things to say, guys, when you represent yourself pro se, because that's what we're going to discuss today, when you're representing yourself pro se, there are lots of hills to climb. And a lot of the times there are certain places and areas where people get caught up when they're trying to represent themselves. And I always say that, it doesn't matter, what you're doing, whatever you're doing. You want to make sure that you have a person who is well versed in that particular arena or area or facet of life to guide you and to, help you carry things out. And I would say the same thing needs to happen in the legal sector. So today we are going to discuss some of the problems with representing yourself pro se. Okay? And people try to represent themselves in the criminal side. They try to represent themselves in civil lawsuits, such as lawsuits they may bring against someone else that are, bigger than small claims lawsuits, demanding specific monies from people for certain violations of the law that they say that people have made. And in addition to that, family court, okay? And why you should not represent yourself pro se in any arena, okay, if you don't have an active bar license. Okay, and I say this because, guys, a lot of the times when attorneys are hired, we look and see where different clients have tried to file things or file petitions, etc., and the petitions were dismissed for want of prosecution or DWOPed, dismissed for want of prosecution. Dismissing something for want of prosecution means that you did not advance upon your petition in the proper manner or did not advance upon your petition in a certain time period, and the court dismissed your lawsuit. The court dismissed your lawsuit. Sometimes we can bounce back from a dismissal of a lawsuit, and we're able to navigate our way through and bring that lawsuit again. But there are times where we can't do that due to a statute of limitations or some other issue. So we need to make sure that we understand the ramifications of representing ourselves. In the criminal side, guys, yes, you have the constitutional right per se to represent yourself, but why would you? The issue is whenever you guys have to represent yourself, and this is in civil and criminal, but more important in criminal cases, you have to object. You have to object to improper evidence being introduced. You have to introduce evidence in the proper manner. And you don't know how to do these things when you don't have a bar license much of the time. Whenever you fight a case, whether it be on the criminal side or on the civil side, and you're allowed to fight that case pro se, meaning on your own, you're held to the same standard of an attorney. And it sucks to be held to the same standard of an attorney if you don't have a bar license, because attorneys have been to school to learn exactly what they need to file and what they need to do. And even when they get out of law school, there's a little bit of a getting your feet wet and kind of understanding how things work and applying an application that is necessary when you need to get your feet from under you in the legal field, or get your feet underneath you, in the legal field so that you're rolling. Okay? And it's hard for someone who doesn't have a bar license or any understanding of the law with respect to law school or that bar exam. It's hard for you all to keep up. What happens is, in order for you to prove your case, it's all done with evidence, whether there's a jury or whether there's a judge. The only way that a case can be proven is by meeting certain elements, and those elements are met with evidence, okay? And so you've got to get your evidence in so that you can meet the elements of the offense or the cause of action. So if you're prosecuting a case, say you're trying to sue someone else for something that they've done to you wrongfully, or file a custody action, you've got to hit the prong of each element of the law with evidence. If you don't know how to get that evidence in properly, then that's going to be a huge impediment to you being able to prove your case. And they'll get what's called a directed verdict against you, meaning you couldn't prove your case, so they don't even have to defend it. And that happens when you miss an element or you don't get the evidence in to prove up an element of your case. Okay, another way that evidence can hurt us is if we're a defendant. If we're a defendant in a criminal action, we're allowing evidence in because we don't know how to object to keep that evidence out. And then there's evidence that's in the record or brought into court against us that shouldn't be there because we didn't properly object, because we didn't know to object, how to object, or the proper objection to make. Okay, and even as attorneys, when I object, sometimes I've got to object again, run my objection. And in addition to running my objection, there have been times where a judge won't give me a ruling. And I have, you have to know as a lawyer, hold on, you got to halt things to get a ruling on each objection. Because if you don't get a ruling on objection, then they're not preserved. Error is not preserved for any sort of appeal that may need to take place. Somebody may need to file an appeal in the action. It may very well need to be you. And you can't file that appeal if you have not preserved error for appeal by objecting properly and getting those objections notated and ruled on. So this is something that you may not know. That may be hard for you to do. You may not know how to formally go about that if you don't have a bar license or attorney representing you. And evidence can either stay out that needs to come in or get in against you that should not be in. And that can either damage, well, either way, it's going to damage your case. Okay? Damage your case. Evidence is so important that you need to have an attorney there to help you get that evidence across. Another issue is filing motions. Sometimes we don't know exactly what's supposed to be in a motion, or what motions are supposed to be verified or sworn to, and what motions don't have to be verified, or what motions to file. You don't always know these things unless you have an attorney's help. And trying to research that type of thing and learn when to file motions and what motions to file, you're putting yourself behind the ball if you don't have a bar license. A lot of what we call litigation, attorneys call that motion practice. And the reason that we call it motion practice is because it's a game, it's a chess game, and you're making moves and you're defending. You're making moves and you're defending. Whether you're a defendant or a prosecuting attorney, you're making moves and you're defending. You're making moves and you're defending. And you can't back up or advance when you don't know exactly what you need to file. You don't understand that something that they filed is a trap. You're not supposed to respond, or you're supposed to respond in a specific manner at a specific time with certain evidence. Your case can end up getting knocked out. So what I wanted to do today was come to you guys with a very important talk today about representing yourselves. I don't think that you guys should do it. I always think that you should hire an attorney, although you do have the right to represent yourselves. And if you're going to represent yourself, I want you to make sure that you're versed in those things that I just discussed, because you won't make it through a trial and you won't be able to get your case all the way through without getting dismissed or DWOPed if you don't know the proper way to set your court dates, okay? Set your case for trial, set your motions for a hearing, etc. And in addition to setting motions, you got to know how to draw an order. You got to know how to draw up an order. A judge can rule something, and he or she can give you what's called a rendition. But until that is signed and notated by the court on what's called an order, then you have technically a ruling, or your case is held in abeyance, or you don't have the order that you need in order to enforce the other side or make sure the other side does what they're supposed to do under the order. Okay, and orders are hard to draft, and they've got to be right. And a lot of the times people actually forget to even file them when they're pro se, and they wonder why they went to court but never got their relief. So I just wanted to come before you guys, if you can help it, try never to represent yourself. There are a lot of tricks and traps that come along with you representing yourself, and we just want to make sure that your case is either able to be prosecuted victoriously or defended victoriously, and make sure you have someone with a bar license to help you do that. We're pretty smart people all the time, and we may know things, and we may know things literally, but knowing the law is a completely different animal. It's a lot of traps within it that are not there on purpose, but they're just traps, and you got to be well versed to represent yourself. go ahead and shoot me an email. Make sure you add me on Instagram, guys, and add my YouTube channel. I want to make sure I'm continuously putting things up to assist you guys in your daily endeavors with the law. Thank you, and y'all have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.